Hey Google, turn off the TV. Hello. Okay, I'm a little bit late because my computer decided to update exactly when I didn't need it to. And then I also realized that I was wearing the same shirt as my video last week. So I needed to change. And so I just put something on so that it didn't look like I was wearing the same thing all the time. Although I do love that shirt. I'll just wait to see if any more people join in. Hello, hello. Give it a minute or two and I'll just get this organized. Who's joining us today? Feel free to make any comments. Or don't if you don't feel comfortable. Okay, I think we're just gonna jump on into it. No, I was missing. Haha. Okay, so what we're doing today shouldn't take too long. Is we're going to be, and I won't be showing all the hemming because hemming is boring. It is so boring that this shirt I am wearing, I did not hem. I serged it and with the intent I will hem it later, and I never did. So I need to definitely hem it so that the serge seams are not shown, which I think you can you can see right there. If I need to tuck it in and hem it. So the nice thing about the Remy is that they already pre-tell you to fold your hem, and because you've already sewn the arm pieces together, it's making your life much easier. So generally speaking, when you hem, follow the instructions of the pattern because each one may vary. But what you're going to do, and I don't have my hot ruler today, so I'm glad I already had this folded, is you're going to fold it at the described width, seam at the described allowance, and then you're going to fold it again. And then that's it. People don't like hemming because it's not fun. It's boring, and sometimes it's a pain in the butt, especially if you're re-hemming pants or something. But in this scenario, I just noticed some threads right here. So I'm just going to snip them before I hem it. It's quite easy. So, and then I already pre-hemmed this, but it's going to be the same thing for the bottom. You're going to, as if I was about to do it, you're going to fold it once and then fold it again. And then you would lay clips around it, or clips or pins, whatever your preference. And then the only thing I would like to mention is to make sure that's the split front right there. So that's not what I want to talk about, but that your side seams are pressed in the right direction. So they should be pressed towards the back. So you can see that right there. So you want to ensure that they are pressed with your iron towards the back, and that when you go over to hem it, it's in the right spot. So it's not flipped over like that. Because if it's flipped over on this side incorrectly, but flipped right on the other side of the arm over here, it's going to twist. So it should lay flat like this all along. But if you have it, like I said, on one side, it's flipped up and this side it's flipped down, that whole fabric is now twisted. And no problem, because if you didn't do it right the first time, what I did is I unpicked it because mine didn't lay flat the way I wanted it to. And then I just ensured that then when I sewed over it again, keeping in mind to backstitch front and back in order to make sure that that little bit of fixing gets secured. So yeah, we're just gonna do that. Like I said, hemming is not the most fun part of sewing, but I'm just going to do a quick one. I like to use the underfoot stitch. because it holds it together. I think I've mentioned this a time. I'm sure there's a proper hemming foot. I just don't have it, so this is what I use. Oh, and I'm going to flip it right side out because it's currently wrong side out. It's always going to be easier to sew inside the tube. So I'm going to be sewing like this. My needle's going to go in here because I can just shift it around. If you're going to sew on the outside, which is this part, it's not going to be easy to do so because you're going to be having to constantly maneuver it in a tricky way as opposed to sewing on the inside. So I'm just going to... And, oh, I did not snip my French seams. That's okay. I always like to start and, so here's what I mean. In this part, I want to make sure it's going to lie on the same side as whatever I have further down. So I'm just going to go check that. So it's facing this way, which is already pressed. So I want to make sure that I'm not going to sew it that way. I want to sew it this way. And I already forgot. Okay, there we go. I always like to start anytime I'm doing a circle where, my mom is in there. Hi, Mom. She threw me off my game. I always like to start at the seam so that it's hidden if there's any like bunch up or of anything there. I'm pulling more threads out, so I want to snip them before I get to that stage. Oh, come on. And that's it. You've hemmed a sleeve now. So this, again, it's going to be hard to see, but I just have a bunch of like not so pretty threads. So because it's hidden right at that seam, which will be hidden because it'll be underneath my arm, no one will see. And also it's matching thread, so no one could see anyways. So now the last stage for this shirt, if you're doing the 3/4 inch or the short sleeve, it would be to sew on a button. Sewing on a button by hand will take forever. So I'm not going to do it on the video, but what you'll do is just place it at whatever distance makes you feel comfortable when it would be buttoned up. If you want it more like that, or if you want it more like that. And then I would put a little mark of if your button is a 2 buttonhole or a 4 buttonhole or a 1 buttonhole, just put a little mark of where you're supposed to stitch so that when you then go place your button, do I have a loose one? I do. So this one has 4 holes. So if let's say I wanted it there, I'm just gonna, as much as possible, because sometimes it's really difficult, just put a little mark of where you want it to lay. And then when you take it off, just make sure you're stitching in the right spot. And perhaps before you're finally stitching, just double check that, again, it's right where you want it to be, and then just continue hand stitching. So just take it easy. I would go through, in this case, because it's a 4-1, diagonally. So from this quadrant to that quadrant, and then that quadrant to that quadrant. But again, take it however, and enjoy the process. It's slow stitching, and it's very meditative. So this shirt is essentially done except for the buttons. If you are doing, or if you are interested in doing, the free gathered sleeve shirt, I have my second shirt here. It's inside out. And okay, I've started that one. So with gathered sleeves, there's a couple of steps. And I'm going to share some best practices, courtesy of Julie, because she helped me with this at the shop, because I've never done gathered sleeves before. So what you're going to do is, according to their instructions, which you can print this off, the sleeves and the instructions off for free on Soho 7's website. Their instructions start off with your sleeve piece, and you want to do a basting stitch. A basting stitch is according to their instructions, the longest stitch available on your machine. So I think at the machine at the shop, it's 4.5 stitch length. And I think on my machine, it's 5. Yeah, on my machine, it's 5. So whatever your machine may be, I'm just going to reset it, turn it on and off again. So whatever your machine length is, the idea of a basting stitch is to put in stitches that will eventually be removed. And that's what we're going to do here. So the pattern suggests you're going to stitch here at 2 spots. One's the varying distances. Julie shared that according to some best practices that she has read, it's best to do 3. So you would do on this one, instead of just doing the 1, 2 that they recommend, you could do a third one, just another a quarter of an inch above it. So I did not do that because I wasn't aware of that tip until afterwards. Oops, I just shook up my setup here. Oh, I don't want this to fall. Okay, much better. So what I did is I did 2 rows of basting stitches. And then you sew your sleeve as if you were to sew it normally. Also, I'm realizing that my TV has photos and I don't want them shown. I'm going to do it like that. So you're going to sew your sleeves as normal. And that's not a problem. If you've already if you're going to do your gathered sleeve for the first time, then just read the instructions from the main one more. And then we're going to sew the cuff. So the cuff, you have had to make notches in the middle of it. So you're going to fold it in half at those notches, and you're going to sew at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Let's do that. Oh, no. I don't have my iron. I left it at the shop. Oh, well, we'll make it. Oh, and I need to switch my thread. Oh, I probably can't sing that because of copyright reasons. Yep. Okay, I've switched my thread. My regular foot is back on, and let's sew this cuff. Whoops. Okay, so sewing it at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now, I forgot my iron at the shop, so I don't have an iron, but what you would want to do is open up this seam. Ooh. And you're just going to press this seam open. Obviously, this will work way better with something hot, but that's the first step. Now it's really hard to see. Open like that. And then you're going to take, this is now the wrong side. You're going to fold it up 3/8 of an inch again. So with your seam gauge, measure 3/8 of an inch. And then, or if you, this won't really work with the hot ruler because it's a curved shape. So I don't think it'll work in this end, but take your seam ruler and seam gauge and just see where it needs to be folded and then fold it up. And then do the same thing. You'll press it up with an iron. And that's going to be part of the cuff. So after doing that, you are going to start gathering your sleeve. So Julie taught me this tip. It's not shared in the pattern, but you take a pin and use it to anchor your stitches, the gathered stitches that you're going to be pulling. So what you're going to be doing, I'm just going to have to undo this a little bit. Okay. So when you're sewing in your gathered stitches, you're going to leave a long tail so that it's easier for you to pull. Again, if you can see. So you can see that's how long I left it, probably too long. But so on that side, and then this is going to be used as my anchor. So I'm going to be gathering, I'm going to be pulling. And then you're going to see, I need a little bit more of elevation here. You'll start seeing these crinkles. See, you just pull them. It's hard for me to not block it. Oh, I need to turn off this light. That's better. Okay, so I'm going to continue pulling on it until, this is going to take some time. So I fast forwarded the steps, but you're going to gather and then spread it out until you've reached the circumference of your cuff. So each cuff is going to be different based on sizes. So determine what your circumference is by taking it like this, measuring it out. Mine is 6 inches, so it's 12 inches in total. So once your cuff gets to about that size, oh, and I forgot to show you how to use the anchor so that it doesn't become a tangly mess and you don't lose it in other stitches. As you're gathering, how do I show it this way? You're going to loop around, making like an infinity symbol around it. And then you pull more, you gather more stitches, which means there's going to be more thread. So then you would move that again and keep on going. You don't have to do that at all. It's not a necessary step. So if that's confusing for you, not to worry, but it can help create less of a confusion zone. So after, let me just take this clip. After you've successfully gathered, it should look something like that. And try and spread it out as much as possible, but don't worry if it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially if it's your first go. And you put your cuff on. This is my wrong side. You can see these are my French seams. This is my wrong side. And you touch, this is the cuff part facing, oh my gosh, this is so hard. You can see my fingernails. So there's the cuff, little, we folded a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So this is the right side of your cuff. This is your wrong side of your cuff. That's the right side. So you want to touch the wrong side and right side of your cuff. And then when you're sewing, you're going to be sewing. Oh, this is going to be too difficult to show. It's all the same colors. So, no, that's not going to work either. I'm going to use a pen. If these are your gathered stitches, 1, 2, you're going to be sewing in the middle. Obviously in a straight line, not like I did. So that you're able to see, and you do it very similar to how I showed you how to hem. You sew from the tube side in, like this. And so you should be able to see your gathered stitches. Yes, you can see a little bit. And then the middle one is my good stitch. And then from the other side, you only see the good stitch. So now you're going to pull, I just want to make sure I don't forget this in the right order. Yes. So now you pull out your basting stitches, which are, like I said, the top and the bottom stitches there. Just going to pull it out slowly. Again, this is going to take some time, so I will leave you all to do that. Just have some patience, put on some good tunes or a good TV show. And then if we were magically done, what you're going to do, so I'm now pulling, this is the wrong side still, and the inside in here is my right side. You're going to turn, this is your folded cuff. I'm going to turn it in. Oh, so drapey. I've been fighting with this fabric all day. So your cuff is perfectly there, and you're going to turn it in. I can't turn it in. I'm going to need a clip. Enough that you see nothing else. So I know you can see the thread, but that would be pulled out. So you're going to go all the way around. So I'm going to just use the clips to do this. I won't be able to sew it, but you'll get the idea because it'll be similar to hemming like we did just before. I am so excited to not be sewing with this fabric anymore. If anyone else can relate. Okay, so you'll have something like that. This is your right side. And then I don't know if they say to pull it inside out. No, because you want to keep on sewing here. So you're going to sew it as an edge stitching. So very, very, very close to the edge, as if you were hemming. I'm just going to show the photo. That's the stitch right there. So you want to go very, very close so that you catch all the fabric, and then you'll be done. And you'll have this wonderfully gathered, billowy sleeve. And that's it, guys. We are done the Remy. Oh man, today was actually much shorter than I thought it was going to be. As usual, any questions, feel free to send them over to the shop or put them over here in the comments. It's week 5, and I hope you enjoy, and please come and show off your Remys. We would love to see them. Julie has made one, and she showed hers off the other day. Julie, one of my coworkers, and it looked amazing. That's what really inspired me to do the gathered sleeves. Those are some vacation photos, and they're not the most flattering. And that's it. I hope you guys have... Oh, Susan. Oh, yay! I'm so glad you've been enjoying it. I hope the tips help. And again, I know I didn't show everything, but these steps really do take a really, really long time. So it's best to just sort of do them at your own pace and not rush through the stages. And because I also want to wear this shirt, I don't want to rush it on camera. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and stay tuned for our next sew along. We're going to be doing the Firefly Tote by Noodlehead. Bye, everyone.